Welcome back to the Lords of Lore podcast. I'm Matt,
I'm Taleb.
and we are here to talk about the finale of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yes, sir.
Jam-packed episode. I think it's like an hour long.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were your thoughts?
I thought it was pretty cool. Just right off the bat. Thought it was a good episode.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
wanted to like it more than I think I did, but
Same.
there were certain moments I was like, "Holy fuck, that's cool!" I always wanted to see that, and then
Yeah.
other moments I was like, "What are we doing here? Like, was this necessary?" But yeah, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So obviously we're setting up for war right at the beginning of the episode. Okay, so it's like in this part where I felt stuff got a bit clunky right off the bat. Like there's just a scene where like Fennec Shand is just explaining where everyone's at
Yeah.
and like exactly what the plan is. And I'm like, but it wasn't even like a, hey, what's the plan? It's like a, okay, so you know that you have blah, blah, blah here and here and here. We're ready for them. And then he's like, what's next? It's like, I don't know. It was just so like, obviously, like this is fucking exposition, you know? They had to
Yeah.
let us in on what was going on. I don't know. What did you think of like the setup?
I'm not gonna lie, like this whole season, or maybe I should say this show, falls short in a lot of those aspects.
Mhm.
Where one, they force feed us information, I feel, that we don't really need to be force fed.
Mhm.
Like you said, where it was like a forced exposition. And they're like, I don't know, it just something is not connecting. It's very clunky, like you said. Like I like the episode just right off the bat. I liked
Yeah.
it, but
I almost feel like
just
it's like because there's so many different directors, or like a director will do like the first two, say, and then come and do like the finale, like Robert Rodriguez or whatever episodes he did, but they're not like directly one after each other, or it's not just one director. So it feels like, you know, like we get that one episode where they explain like Tatooine used to be an ocean, and then
yeah.
in the very next episode, like a character says the same thing, and it's like, yo, we know. You said that last episode, you know? It's just very like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, like you said, like it's clunky. It's just like sometimes it just feels like we could have set this up in like in a shot, like visually,
Yeah.
instead of like
Yeah.
have Fennec like explain the shit out of it.
Yeah. It's like because you start to like almost break the immersion and you're like, what's
Yeah.
happening?
Yeah.
Like what is the plot? Like what are we doing?
Yeah. And then there's so many good moments like in this episode, especially where it's like again, those things are like super fucking cool. Or like I like, you know, Boba Fett writing his thing on the pad, and like, you know, it turns out to be like a joke type of thing. But
Yeah.
it's just like they're also like maligned. Like, okay, first off, that first like action sequence with like the Gamorrean guards and like Black Chrysanthemum, like I don't know, like for me, whatever reason,
Yeah.
I know it's like lower budget because it's TV, but like it just felt like dudes in suits. You know what I mean? It didn't feel like
Yeah.
Gamorrean guards fighting fucking what were they, Trandoshans or whatever the case. I think they were Klatooinians that he was fighting. It's just like
Yeah.
it just looked like actors in suits moving like clunkily, you know?
Like
Yeah, especially with the Wookiee.
Overly. Yeah. I'm kind of disappointed with Chrysanthemum, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought we'd see him
like
wreck
a
shop.
savage.
Yeah,
Like he's a savage. Like
especially against the Trandoshans. Like we see him mess up those Trandoshans in the sanctuary, but then
yeah.
here it's like I don't know. It's just like underwhelming, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's a good way to put it. Just underwhelming.
and it did the thing that like Attack of the Clones does, where it's like, oh, we're really in for it now, and then oh, but our friends show up and they're here to save us. Oh, but it doesn't go good. Oh, so we're really in for it now. And another one of our friends shows up. It's like, it's the Jedi. Now it's the clones. And this was like, oh, Black Chrysanthemum shows up. Now the mods are here. You know, like, now the people of Freetown. Now there's a Radcor. It's like,
literally.
You know, now it's fucking Grogu. And you're just like, oh, man. And then that woman shows up somehow. And I'm like, I was like, yo, what the fuck? what is she doing here? Like, you didn't notice the fucking droids tearing apart the city and you brought the baby
You
here?
didn't hear
Like,
anything?
yeah. Like crowds of people like running away and you're just like in your little I did like that the trolley car that she's in was I think it's like the same one from episode 2 where like Anakin and Padme
Oh,
start going around Mos Eisley. Yeah,
oh shit.
it looks similar. I don't know if it's the exact
Hmm.
same one, but I'm pretty sure it's the same type of deal. Uh yeah, I don't know. There was just so many things I thought were like awkward about this episode. Like it tried to like put too much into one
Mm,
hour long thing.
yeah. I also didn't like how it was kind of all in the same setting. I didn't like that too much because like halfway through the episode I was like wondering like is like the war gonna start?
Yeah,
Because like I had high expectations for like a war type thing. And I was like, are they just gonna kill the droids and then just call it?
yeah. And pretty
But
much when it boiled down to
yeah.
it, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just me, but I really like I'm not a fan of plots being in the same setting. Like that was my biggest complaint about The Last Jedi. I really hated how most of the movie it was just them being chased in a ship.
Yeah.
And then like for like almost over an hour, it was just that setting. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind when something takes place in one setting, but I like to know what the limitations of the setting are. Because when it's like
Mm,
or you know if it's especially like a battle in one setting, it's like we are confined by these four walls or whatever the case may be, or like this barrier or whatever, like or we're protecting this thing. But this was just like, okay, we're going to start here because we want to show people that we're protecting the city. Okay, cool.
mm,
But then it's just like run, and
yeah,
they all just scatter anyways, and then it's like, you know, Boba has time to like fly back to the palace and get the Radcor, which don't get me wrong was
yeah,
fucking awesome, but it was just like, you know, there aren't really like limitations here. So it was like it was in one setting, but it was also like, you know, and we don't even see Fennec Shan for most of this episode.
yeah.
Like, I don't know. It was just I don't know. I felt like it was awkward. I wasn't I
It
usually
was
like
awkward.
the Robert Rodriguez directed episodes of Mandalorian and Boba Fett, but this one just felt
Yeah,
like there was too much going on that like I couldn't really appreciate the things I actually wanted to like.
yeah. It had a lot of elements of the one episode we didn't like with when they introduced the mods.
Yeah,
It had a
did it
lot of
ever.
elements of that. Yeah.
Man, okay, and the worst part about it was like me and you both shit on those fucking bikes, right? They like
Yeah.
they look too new and they're too slow and
Dog
just
shit.
awkward. And in this episode, we get Fennec jumping on that bike that looks like it belongs on Tatooine, and the motherfucker
Yeah.
just takes off. And I
Yeah.
was like, was that so hard? Like, couldn't we
Yeah,
have got
right?
that 4 episodes ago? I was like, what the fuck? And then they the mods show up on their bikes and they're useless. Like the one guy got shot and he fucking
Like we didn't even know his name. He just
yeah.
dies.
Oh man, oh yeah, I don't know. The mods still bug me. Like the blonde one and like the white with the orange. I'm like, this
Yeah.
guy is too bright to be on Tatooine. Like he sticks out like a sore thumb with his little like pencil
Yeah. I
mustache thing.
noticed that too. Yeah.
Like he's giving
Yeah,
him way
actually.
too many shots, man. Like,
Yeah. No
yeah.
cap.
Especially them like next to the people from Freetown. It was so
Yeah.
weird. It was like, I don't know. Yeah, I want to like the mods because like the guy with the eye, I think he does such a good job in like the small, you know, scenes that they give
Mm,
him. I think he's like an
yeah.
interesting character, but it's just aesthetically they're so jarring that I can't really get on board with it. Um yeah, like one of my favorite parts was the mayor's major domo, and I hate that character, you know?
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know. It was a weird episode. Do you have anything else that you didn't like? And then we'll maybe jump into some positives.
Anything else I didn't like? I'm not gonna lie, now that I'm thinking about it, there's like quite a bit.
Oh, no,
But
go
it's
off, man.
things I don't know, it's things that like I don't even have like the energy to even get into. It's just like it's almost
Disappointing.
like okay, I think just right off the bat, I don't like how they set up the episode. I think they set it up in a way so it would be like a siege situation.
Mhm.
It kind of was like that, where they're like, yeah, let's stay here because we got to protect the people. But then it's kind of like a dumb idea to do that anyway, because they found out they were there, and then it was just like so plotless.
Yeah.
I don't know, just like a lot of plotless things, like a lot of plot points that could have been changed to make it like less weird. I'm not
Yeah.
really like wording this right, but that's just
No,
how I feel about it.
I know
It's
what you
just
mean. It's
weird.
like certain things just happen for no reason. Like they stay in the
Yeah,
sanctuary and then immediately everyone splits up and it's just, Din and Boba in the sanctuary. So it's like, okay, it's not really much of a symbol of protecting the city when everybody runs away. And then,
yeah,
Cad Bane shows up and it's like, I have a way to get him out of there. And he just walks up and Boba walks out and he's like, hey, oh, you're on their side? Yep. Well, see you later. It was kind of
yeah.
like a weird, I don't know, like I thought like maybe Cad Bane would pull out something that's like we recognize it as like it used to be Django's or it's like it's solid, like I don't know, something that like hinted back to like their relationship in the Clone Wars or like anything like that. But it was just like if I show up, you'll come out. It's like okay,
Oh
cool,
yeah, yeah. He's like, I know a way to get him out, and he
yeah.
just like, yeah, he just pulled up on him. I guess it's like not too bad though, but still,
Yeah, I just wanted like more out of it. Like I was
yeah.
excited to see Boba and Cad Bane interact, obviously because like the history there. But then when they get it, it's just sort of like, oh, okay, like that
Mm.
was anticlimactic. It was a tense scene, but it still was like
It
felt like
was
there was no
tense, yeah.
stakes. Like because if there was like a
Mm.
crowd of people around, it was like, okay, Boba, you have to stay your hand, or else these people are gonna think you're the bad guy,
Mm.
or like something like that. But it was just like I have people here too. And it was like even numbers. It's like they could have just thrown down right there and then.
Yeah,
It was kind of strange.
it was strange.
Yeah, but then I think like so then after that scene we get all the like weird action scenes I said like earlier I wasn't a big fan of, but then we get the awesome fucking Mandalorian and Boba just like coming out with the
Mm.
jetpacks and
Yeah,
going to town. That was awesome. What do you think about that?
that was sick. That was fire. I love that.
Yeah. I love
Seeing
seeing
just
like
the both of them.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just seeing the both of them just fly off with their jetpacks and just do their thing. That was fire.
Yeah. I love like the knee rockets. It's been a while since we've seen
Yeah,
knee rockets. So
yeah.
that was sick. And I love how we get like the differences in their suits. Like Mando's got like the whistling birds thing, whereas Boba just has like a wrist rocket type of thing. Like
Mm.
I can't wait to get like Mando season 3 where we see all these different Mandalorians and all their like, customized suits and like all that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was sick. Yeah, so I
yeah.
think like those earlier action scenes were almost like I'm willing to like let them go because this was so cool
Mm.
to see. I just like the visual of like two Mandos fighting like side by side, or at least two people in
Exactly.
Mandalorian armor. Yeah, it was super cool. What do you think about like the droideka things?
Um, they were, I guess they were cool in the beginning, but I don't know if I like them too much. I thought they were cool though.
Yeah, it was cool to see a thing that was like a heightened version of like the droidekas
Yeah,
from the Clone Wars era. But
yeah.
okay, I'm already back to negatives because so in Clone Wars in its canon, there's like a pretty easy way to get rid of droidekas, and they reference it in this show. Um, but in the Clone Wars animated series, like Jedi and clone troopers, you like slowly roll a uh like a detonator into their shield because it rolls so slow. If you can roll it slow enough, it doesn't pick it up as something that's hitting the shield. It picks it up as
Mm,
the droideka walking forward. Uh,
mm,
and so like I think of the episodes in Clone Wars with like Saw Gerrera and I can't remember what planet they're on, but that planet, fighting back against the separatists.
Mm.
They sort of implement that sort of guerrilla training and teach those people how to, destroy droideka by just like making them walk into landmines, basically. And so like watching this episode, I'm like, Mando references, he's like, our energy weapons don't work and our ballistic weapons have too much velocity. I'm like, roll a
Yeah.
detonator in, roll a thermal charge. And they keep like just he like hacks at it with the fucking dark saber. Everyone's just shooting the shields over and over. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, the Clone Wars was like 25 years ago. Like, come on, man. There's nobody
Literally.
knows. No one's sealed like a force field in 25 years. Like, I don't know. It was just weird. It was just frustrating because it was like,
It was frustrating because it just went on for so long. It was just them chasing it,
yeah,
them shooting it, and then they kept shooting it, and they kept hitting it, and kept shooting it,
yeah,
and like it just kept chasing them, and then they kept running.
yeah. That's exactly
Like,
how it went
yo,
down. You know what else? Like, okay, it's fine if the droidicas are chasing them, and it would be cool if we almost got like a horror like a war movie feel out of it, where like our heroes are just sort of like pinned down, and they like sacrifices need to be made, or like a
yeah,
cunning strategy employed. But like you say, they were just running, and no
yeah,
one died. Like these droids are like
yeah.
they go to the extent of showing you like the PVO or POV from the droid's perspective, and then it's like shooting
Yo,
at them, and it's just like missing.
behind them, and then like on top,
Yeah, and it was
and
like
it's like,
like the
yo,
stormtroopers, I could understand not being great shots because like they're fucking like trained like to the bare minimum, and their armor sucks
yeah,
and can't see out of their helmets. But like the droids in the Clone Wars and even in the movies, they're deadly. Like they're
yeah,
machines. They can shoot you. They just have to like find your thermal signature. For these droids to like us see through the eyes of the droids and they're still missing, I'm like, yo,
yeah.
what? Like, why are we doing this?
And you would think those droids would be, kind of expensive.
Yeah. Or like, why would they have them? Because they're obviously like new technology. Like they're like nothing we've ever seen before in Star Wars. They're
Yeah,
like the newest level of droid, and it's like they're still more useless than stormtroopers. And anytime like someone shot at them, they would like turn and face it. I'm like,
dude.
what? Like what kind of droids have no like algorithm of like there's 10 people over
Fuck.
here and one person here. I don't. It was so awkward. And like, it's just like, how long are we going to keep this up? And sure enough, it was like until Boba shows up on the Radcor, which don't get me wrong, was fucking awesome. Like,
Fire. Yeah,
and I love
that
that
was
we
cool as
set
fuck.
it up a couple episodes ago. Like, I want to ride him and like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And when like I saw him show up, I was like, man, this is sweet. Like, just and he's like shooting people while he's on the Rancor. Reminded me of like you could find like art like a few years ago of like Obama riding a giant squirrel with like a
Oh
AK-47.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of like that shit, but just Boba Fett on the Radcor. Yeah, what were your thoughts about the Radcor?
I thought it was fire. I loved the Rancor and seeing him ride it. I thought the cinematography was cool. I
Mhm.
thought everything about it was fire. It was just sweet. Seeing him just climb on buildings,
Yeah,
destroy it, and just like the aggressiveness, I thought they captured so well. Fighting like the robot giant droidicas.
yeah,
I thought it was so cool. It was like something that I was just like happy to see it,
yeah, yeah. It was just really
Yeah,
cool. Like, and I think
yeah,
sometimes that's all we're like expecting out of Star Wars is just like
yeah,
it's fucking sweet,
yeah.
laser swords. But
This is cool.
it, it was like one of those moments that like we probably never get in the film, but like it's really
Mm,
cool to see it in this sort of, and it looked great. Like
mm,
I think for the Rancor they use like a mix of like a puppet as well as CGI.
mm.
And like the CGI is done fantastic. And when they use the puppet, like I feel like that's good because if the Rancor looked different than it looked in like episode 6, it would be like a little bit weird. So like I'm glad they kind of stayed true to like its form, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were some other things you liked about this episode?
I actually really loved Cad Bane. I thought they did him pretty fucking well in the way of how like nerve wracking the scenes get when he's there,
Yeah.
and like seeing Boba Fett interact with him was fire. I thought their second interaction was at least the beginning where they were talking and just like trading words was
Yeah.
so fire.
I
I
love
thought
that
that
too.
that
Yeah.
was yeah, that was just fire. And when he called him soft,
Yeah.
he's like you're getting soft with your old age, and him telling him the same thing.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people don't notice or don't pay attention to like Cad Bane's age. Like he's old as fuck.
Yeah, he
Isn't he
is.
like 60 or some shit?
Yeah, because
He's like
last
old.
time we saw him was 30 plus years ago, I think. Or yeah, 30 some years ago.
Hmm.
Yeah. So and he was old then.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Like he's just menacing and like just the voice like commands your attention. And just because how quick he is with his draw, it's like, yeah, obviously like
He's
it's giving us like
badass.
that Western showdown at high noon type of feel.
Yeah.
Even with the last episode too, like the way he just quick draws on Cobb Vanth and stuff. So like that's super fucking cool. And we're looking at Boba Fett to like for 40 years in real world lore was like known as the deadliest bounty hunter in the world. And then like to get Cad Bane, which we see in the Clone Wars, like these two, like two of the best bounty hunters of all time face down. And we see Boba get wrecked, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
he's
That was
down and out.
fire.
Yeah.
We saw him constantly like outgun him like 3 times in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
sick to see like how, and yeah, like you say, like that conversation where he's like, I'm old, but I'm still faster than you. And he's like, yeah, probably. And sure enough, he was. Yeah, I don't know. And just like the references to like the Clone Wars stuff, like here's my last lesson for you. I just love that
Yeah.
like we're actually seeing this in like live action. And all like that canon sort of stuff that we got in Clone Wars is actually like meaningful now, opposed to just being
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, there was an animated show at a point in time. Um, Wanted to ask, have you ever seen Dave Filoni? He did this like panel at Star Wars Celebration a couple years ago, and it was like untold stories from the Clone Wars. And so basically, like when the Clone Wars got canceled, they did like that, I think seventh or sixth season or whatever on Netflix. Um,
Yeah.
but then after that, there was a bunch of stories that hadn't been told. Um,
Mm.
so one of those stories was what we saw with Ahsoka later on in the reboot of the Clone Wars. But another one of those stories was Boba Fett last showdown with Cad Bane. So it was originally supposed to
Mm.
go down in the animated series when Boba's younger, and I think he might even be uh, leading a place called Freetown. I might be getting the details wrong, but he's trying to protect this this group of people. It might even be on Tatooine, but Cad Bane's sort of on the other side of things. But obviously, it's like a much younger Boba. It's like the teenage Boba we see, like the Daniel
Mm.
Logan era Boba. And it's what leaves the dent in Boba's helmet is that they both shoot at the
Oh.
same time, and Cad Bane's hat goes up and then floats to the ground, Western style, and then we see like the dent in Boba's helmet. But obviously, like that's changed now with these shows coming out and Dave Filoni working on this
Yeah.
live action stuff. So it was cool to see it like in live action, even though it was a little bit different. I would have liked to see the hat fall down
The
slowly.
hat fall down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was still like homage to it because his hat falls off at the end.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But what did you think about the end of their showdown? Like, spoiler warning of, ultimately us seeing the death of Cad Bane.
I thought it was a cool I thought like if he was gonna beat him, they did it the right way. At least with all the Sand People, Tusken Raider stuff that they gave us, it was cool to see him use his gaffy stick.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Cad Bane like was expecting that at all.
Not at all. Yeah. He
Because
thought he had
he
him.
kept taunting him. Yeah, he
Yeah.
kept taunting him with the Tusken Raiders. I'm guessing to get on his nerves, make him emotional, like and yeah, I thought it was fire.
Yeah.
I I don't know. Do you think it should have lasted a little longer, or what are your thoughts?
I think the fight was like the right amount of time. Like
Yeah,
even like I don't get me wrong, I love a long lightsaber fight, like Battle
yeah,
of the Heroes and like any lightsaber fight. I love because like I don't
yeah,
know, like all the prequel era lightsaber fights, like I love them because they're just so
yeah.
like
Same.
flamboyant and like technical and like it's like a dance almost. Um,
Yeah,
but I also love like say like Ray versus Kylo at the end of episode or in the middle of episode 9. It's very like brutal, sort of
mm,
more like refined lightsaber fighting. Or sorry, less refined. And there's you know the moment in Rebels where we see like Kenobi and Maul's like their last encounter.
I was gonna reference that too. Yeah,
Very, very short fight, but you get everything you need
perfect,
out of it. Yeah. It's like it's perfect.
perfect,
Uh
perfect.
and I feel like this is more similar to like the newer stuff, like again, like that Ray Kylo fight or the Maul and Obi-Wan fight. It's like I don't think the fights need to last that long, especially when we're not like two Jedi or two Sith or
Yeah,
Force users fighting. You know, it's like I think this was like the perfect length. I'm just like, it's a shame that we've lost Cad Bane when he just got in
yeah,
here, you know? Like I
yeah.
want
That's what
now
I
I
thought.
want like a Cad Bane show because it's just like
Yeah, that's
so
what I thought.
menacing.
I would love, like, dude, just seeing how well they did him and like how how just perfect he is. At least in reference to the Clone Wars,
Yeah.
he's like just done so well. I would, I was hoping the back to tank scene
Yeah.
in the post credits was gonna be him. I was hoping that.
Yeah.
I was
Oh
hoping,
man.
but then it would like leave some loose ends to like where his story would go. So
Yeah. See, I'm like, I don't because we Star Wars is so wide open right now, like
yeah,
we getting shows from all eras, right? It's like
yeah.
I don't like keep Cad Bane alive. Like, who cares? Like, you know, he doesn't
Give us
show
like
up
some
and
Clint Eastwood,
yeah,
Cad Bane show.
yeah, straight up. That would be so sick. Uh, but yeah, uh, I'm sad to see him go, but like, it was a good appearance. Like,
Yeah,
and I think it like we've seen Ahsoka, we've seen Cad Bane, and it's like, who's next? Who's the next Filoni character that we're going to get? Because
who's
like
next?
at this point, now that we've sort of said our goodbyes to like the legacy characters, um, through like the sequel trilogy, I'm like, I want all these Filoni characters to come back and they be like the next sort of step in Star Wars. Not just
Mm,
Filoni, I guess like Favreau as well. Like I want to see like Din Djarin's story like carry out and stuff like that. But I'm more excited about these newer characters or like the, Filoni animated characters coming to live action than I am with like what's Luke up to or what's Ray and Finn up to. Like
same.
I'm down to see that in like 10 years. But right
Yeah,
now I'm like, I want to see
I
what
want to
Ahsoka was
see
up
the
to.
juice.
I need to see Sabine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
So yeah, if you were like, what were your final thoughts, I guess, on the Book of Boba Fett as like a whole project?
I think as a Star Wars fan, you should watch it. I think you'll enjoy it. But just there are a few takeaways that you just gotta deal with.
Yeah.
Because I think in the end it is rewarding. But I thought it was a cool show. I liked Mando season 2 a lot better.
Yeah.
But it is Mando is more of a main type of show. And this is to me it's kind of like a little lore, like Star Wars fan service kind of show in a way.
Yeah.
But I thought it was good overall. But there are a few takeaways that you can get through, I think.
Yeah. See, I almost feel like the opposite, like of what you just described, of like Mando being like the main show. And it's weird because
Mm,
it's like based off what we've always gotten from Star Wars, where it's like we're going back to like Luke and Leia and Han, and like we have to stick with these characters that everybody knows and loves, or else, we're gambling
yeah,
kind of. It feels weird that they went for Mandalorian first where it's like, here's a new character that's very similar to Boba Fett, but not. And he's a bounty hunter as well. It's like, I'm surprised they went that way before they went to Boba Fett. Obviously, like we see where Boba Fett's at because of Mando season 1 and 2, but like for me, that was sort of strange that they would, go that. And I'm glad they did because I enjoy Mandalorian a lot. But I feel like because like Mandalorian came about because Jon Favreau again had written like his Boba Fett spec scripts when he was in high school or whatever. And out of that love of that project, he sort of just converted it into something else, made it into the Mandalorian, then spun off to do Boba Fett like he always wanted to. And I just felt like there would be more sort of like love put into this project. Like I felt like this is where they really want to like nail stuff
Boba
and like
Fett.
make this like a good show for any, not just like hardcore Star Wars fan, but a casual fan, and also just like someone who's just like, oh, I've seen a couple Star Wars movies. I'll check this Boba Fett out. He looks cool. Like and this would be like the flagship, like, oh, Star Wars is back type of show. And it just felt to me like a lot of this was just like, we have to get people excited for Mandalorian season 3. And like, I think a lot of the Book of Boba Fett stuff gets lost in that. Cause like after episode 2 or 3, when we stopped doing the flashbacks with like the Sand people, like Boba Fett's like hardly in the show. And I think it's a shame because I think Tamora Morrison's like acting very well in the show. And the setup is very cool, but I just think the payoff was like not all there. But all in all, I enjoyed it. It was, exciting to see these characters pop up and talk about the stuff with you. But my expectations were like fairly low for this show. Like we talked about on our first episode and our trailer review, like the trailers weren't really selling me. And then after the first 2 episodes, I was like hooked. And then
same.
the last like few episodes have been like,
After episode 2, the show took a turn that I did not expect.
Right.
It got really messy. Like really messy. Very like just kind of like lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
You could say.
Felt like a Clone Wars arc, which I love, but because it's like animated, like I'm okay with a little bit more silliness. Whereas like the mods like really threw me off, and then like some of the other stuff was just like not entertaining enough,
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I think my expectations are sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I think they should have stuck to a similar formula with Mandalorian, not in a sense of how the episodes were structured, but more of like the theme, how it's just focused on the character, focused on the journey, and just giving, like you said, all your love to that character, because Boba just gets lost in the sauce after like episode 2. Like
it's just strange that like we get an episode of the Boba Fett show and he's not in it like at all. And then there's the next episode where he's like hardly in it. He shows up for like 2 minutes maybe. It's just like, I don't know. I think like they got sort of lost between, is this Mandalorian season 3 and is this Book of Boba Fett? And then the places where they tried to fill those gaps was like mods and like weird shit. It was, I don't know. But yeah, I think my expectations for what's coming next are a lot higher. Because like I don't want, and we're like, there's no way we're getting Mandalorian season 4 in Obi-Wan, which just got announced for May. So like, I feel like that's a show where like there can't be any messiness.
No.
If there's messiness in a show like that, like that's gonna cause a big, like I feel like like Mandalorian, almost like after episode 9, Mandalorian sort of got Star Wars fans back to being on the same page of like, okay, this is more along the lines of what we all sort of want. And then Mando season 2 was like, oh, and these animated fans, like myself and you are like, yes, like this is the Star Wars we signed up for. And then Book of Boba Fett starts off like, yes, this is exactly what we want, and then goes off a fucking cliff. And then it's like And I feel like we're at a point right now where it's like, man,
Yeah.
if Obi-Wan is more of like going off that cliff and not what we want, it's gonna be like we're gonna be at the same point as after episode 9, where it's like, man, does anybody know what Star Wars is anymore?
Like, what the fuck is happening? Everyone just lost in the sauce.
Straight
Everyone
up
lost the plot. Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like, I don't know. I'm like, it makes me worried because it's like I love Star Wars so much, but like when you get the silliness like that you get in some of these episodes, it's just like what, like I like that scene of Fennec Shand, man, just like explaining everything that's happening. I'm like,
Bro.
no one looked at this and was like, maybe we should retake that shot, or like,
Do you think the show was rushed?
It felt that way. It really did. Like it felt like they had like the first 2 episodes of Boba Fett was like written, and they were like, let's
Locked
go
down.
off of that.
Yeah.
And then everything after that feels like they had like a plot, but they didn't have like a script. Do you know what I mean? So like everything that gets us from point A to point B in between that place is like very sloppy, but the payoffs are always like, what we would want out of the story. Like, yeah, we want to see Boba Fett and the Rancor. We want to see Mando show up. We want to see Mando reunite with Grogu. We want to see, the Pikes get taken down and like the people of Freetown, all that stuff. Like we want to see that type of stuff, but it's just like the way we get there is so like, I don't know, like such a rough journey that by the time we get to those big moments, it's like, I just have to watch Gamorrean guards get pushed off a cliff at very slow speeds. Like I'm kind of like out of it, like you said earlier, like my immersion's sort of broken by the time we get to what's actually happening, that I'm like, I'm watching a show. I don't feel like I'm in the Star Wars world. I feel like I'm watching people try to make a Boba Fett show.
Yeah. I think it should have been more grounded in Boba's world for sure. Because at some points it just feels like they're just trying to just fit things that'll make us excited in the moment into the show, but that excitement kind of like wears off in a way, because like you're sacrificing like the whole plot and your whole like attachment to the first 2 episodes. It almost also feels like they told Boba's story in the first 2 or 3 and then that was it.
I had
like,
nothing for him to
almost
do for the rest of the show, really.
Because like there's still a lot of questions for me. It's like I almost don't even feel attached to like Boba's like journey of protecting Tatooine. Like I still don't fully get why he's even doing it. To an extent.
Because it feels like
just as
by
a viewer,
episode 7, like we're 5 weeks removed from anything we've seen with him and the Sand People. It's like, even if there was sort of like a through line there of like, oh, he discovers what community and family means to him finally, then it's like, okay, it could make sense why he's trying to create that here in Tatooine. But like we never get that with Mos Espa. We only ever get that with him and the Sand People. And by episode 7, it's like so far removed that it's like, when Cad Bane asks him like, why are you even doing this? Like he doesn't really have an answer. It's just like, oh, you went soft. You tried it, but you failed. And Boba doesn't really have a response. It's just like, no, no, I didn't. I don't know. It was just like I wish there was more of like why this is all happening, because I was fine enough to see it happen, but like it just felt like by the end of it, it was like, and they even say like he has a conversation with Fennec where it's like, why are they bowing to me? It's like, because they're not shooting at you. Those are the only 2 options. And he's like, oh, okay. Like
then he's like, we're not deserving of this or something. Didn't he say that? He said,
something
we're not
like
deserving of this.
Yeah.
I don't
know. It's just like, like I don't know. It just felt weird.
Almost like, who cares?
Yeah.
And
if like I wouldn't mind if it was like a smaller story and like the impact of what happens in the Book of Boba Fett doesn't affect the rest of Star Wars, but because it's like a kind of a big deal, he becomes the Daimo of Tatooine and Mos Espa. It's like, I should probably if the stakes are that high, like, the characters have to understand those stakes or at least be aware of them,
Yeah.
I guess. So I don't know. Strange.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe this is like, maybe we know nothing and this is just some big setup
Yeah,
for something later. That's what Dave Filoni likes to do with all his animated shows.
that's very true. I feel like
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna get
noticed.
in Mando season 3 where it's just like I know a guy on Tatooine and it's just Boba Fett in the chair. I feel like that's gonna be it. I hope not though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that'll do it for us here. Um yeah, it's been fun talking to you about Star Wars, man.
Same.
Hopefully
Same.
we'll be able to do this again when Kenobi comes out in May.
That'd be fire.
Awesome.
I've got high hopes for that.
Yeah. Tell people where they can find you online if they want to check out your art or talk to you about Star Wars.
Taleb Shukair on Instagram, T Shukair on Twitter.
Right on. People can find our main show every Tuesday, as well as on Friday or Saturday mornings. You can catch our reviews of Legend of Vox Machina. And I think by the time people are seeing this, you can check out next week. We're doing an episode on The Bash is back, where we're doing Halo with a special surprise. So check that out. As always, I'm Matt.
I'm Taleb.
And we are the Lords of Lore.